What's the story, YouTube? This is Heritage and this is my John Wick Parabellum review. Just to give you a bit of a background, I'm actually quite a fan of this franchise. It's kind of shocked to see when I was doing research to realise that the first one actually only made 88 million worldwide, which means I'm one of the few people in the world that actually went to see this thing in the cinema. And the only reason I actually got a sequel was because it only cost 20 million to make it, so they made 4 times their money back, so it didn't cost them much to do the next one. And the next one made 171 million worldwide, and this one has already made that, I think, in the first 2 weeks, so it's one of those franchises like Taken that's just getting more and more successful the further it goes on. So I was really looking forward to this one. The only thing is, it is a little bit of a letdown. Now, I don't want to over-egg that pudding. I'm not saying it's a bad film, but in comparison to the other two, it is starting to get a little bit formulaic. And what's going on now at the moment is, I mean, if you look at the first one, I really loved the first one because it was one of those films that, it was a bloke's film. It came out of nowhere, no one had any real ambitions for it or anything. It didn't know it was going to turn into the cult hit it was. And it's an actual example of one of those films where you always hear guys like you say they want you to subvert your expectations. John Wick 1 was a classic example of that done right, in the sense that it was an inversion of the usual trope of, you know, some person ends up wandering into a bad neighbourhood, gets hopped on by bad guys, and the story plays out like that. John Wick was the exact inversion of that. You have an arrogant, entitled, privileged mobster son throwing his weight around, thinks he can just do what he wants, ends up picking what he thinks is a nobody, steals his car, kills his dog, and he turns out to be the walking embodiment of death. And that was one of the most fun things about John Wick 1. The way that they actually related the story through legends of this man, who nobody heard of, and as far as the audience was concerned when they first meet him, it's just a father, or just a widower. And gradually over the course of that story, we get to find out that he's this badass assassin who was tasked with doing 3 impossible things, did them, and that's how he got his freedom. And basically the course of the story is just the more realization from, you know, mobster Theon, for want of a better term, because it was Alfie Allen that played that role, realizing that, oh god, I've basically done myself in just by being an idiot. So the way that film was structured, the way it played out, the way the mythos around John Wick was built up around him from an audience point of view, was one of the things that really made it compelling and really made it interesting. And unfortunately, that's where we're kind of left in a situation with this film, because John Wick 3 basically takes almost immediately off the end of John Wick 2, and it's really just a chase film. That's basically it. There isn't really a story here. So they kind of start going on this world tour where he ends up in somewhere in Africa. I think it's Casablanca or somewhere like that. That's where he runs into Halle Berry's character. And there's some small world building where you get to find more about his ethnicity and his background, like where you find out that he's Bulgarian descent. That's when he meets Angelica Houston's character and all. And I don't want to sound like I'm beating on it too bad. It's not a bad film. It's immensely enjoyable. But what really makes it enjoyable, as I said, is the fight sequences, is the set pieces. That's what you're here for. It's just because they start going down this route, it just seems a tad too long, and that was the only drawback I'd say for you. You could have locked about half an hour off this film, because it's 2 hours 11 minutes long, which is actually pretty much around the same length as Shazam. And Shazam had to do the whole origin story thing for not only Billy Batson's character, but of Dr. Savannah's character. So it packed a lot in, and John Wick really doesn't have any story on line like that at all. This is really just more set piece after set piece, which, and I'm not going to knock him, are amazing. I mean, the assault by the ninjas, basically, on the Bulgarian opera house, fantastic. I mean, that was absolutely beautifully shot. The fight scene in the antiques weapons store was brilliant, because one of the best things about these things, you know it's choreographed, you know it's a film, you know it's all drawn out, but it's done just so well that you could believe that it's organically happening. There's very few places in it where you think, why didn't you just shoot him? There was plenty of time for him to shoot him. That rarely happens. There's always a situation where somebody's in somebody's way, he actually gets stabbed. You know, like, that's the one good thing about the John Wick thing. He's not invincible. He does get beaten the hell out of him a lot in these films. And they have some really innovative fight sequences. There's one in the stable, for instance, with a lot of horses. I'm not going to ruin it, but I mean, it was one of those ones I just kept looking and going, whoa. You know, like, there's plenty of moments like that where you'll sit back and marvel at the creativity of the direction behind this. And the same guy that did the first one, I think, it's the same director, the same writer, so it it's playing up to the same level of creativity and realism in inverted commas that you got in the other two films. So like I said, I immensely enjoyed this. I do recommend this. To me, I say it's a 7 out of 10. And if you're a fan of it, you're definitely going to have a great time. They're just wonderful little small films, and they're still geared for that action market. You know, like if you're the type of person that doesn't like seeing gratuitous like headshots or stabbings or like that, you know, you're not going to change your mind by saying go see this. But if you like John Wick 1 or 2, you're going to love this one. It's just like I said, the downside is that there's very little on the story side. So it's really more just about the set pieces now. And it's set up for John Wick 4. You know, like this has gone down the Taken route. They are in full franchise mode. They're making more money with every film than they've made in the last one. So I can't blame them for milking this cash cow. But it's just this one, like I said, if they should have tightened it up a little bit, it would have been brilliant. It would have a lot of fun. If it had been like maybe an hour 40 minutes, that probably would have been perfect. You know, like, and I mean, for these days, to get a film that you can just go in, have a couple of popcorn, nachos, have the drink and get out quick, that's not a bad thing, because an awful lot of the action is this year's have been about 3 hours long, and they're bum numbers. So it's a welcome respite to have a film that's just basically get in, have a good time and get out. Like I said, it's just a little bit disappointing that the story isn't there as much as was in the first one and the second one. So that's the only downside. But the action sequences are brilliant. The bit with Halle Berry and her dogs is fantastic. That's really well done. God, they just really don't like people's balls, those dogs. It's just always hanging off them. And you do get a laugh when you see side characters like Bronn from Game of Thrones turning up in this for some random reason. It's just at certain points in it you do see where it starts to get a little bit fat. I mean, like there's a scene where the Asian lads, who are basically ninjas, who are, you know, spoiler here, they're fanboys. Like, they love them. So they're always saying stuff like, pleasure to fight you, Mr. Wick, and stuff like that. That got drawn out and very long. And indeed, there's loads of points in it, and I kept thinking, you can just stab him. You just kill him there. He's on the ground. He's wrecked. Why didn't you do this? I presume they were trying to make some sort of honor trope or something like that they wanted to actually just have it full on. But I mean, it just, by this stage, everyone had been trying to kill him. You're like, I just didn't get why they didn't actually finish the deed when they had the opportunity. But these are just niggling little complaints. I mean, it's a great film. It's a great little actioner. It's very entertaining, very well shot. You know, there's none of the shaky cam stuff. For the amount of action we have in this film, you're never going to feel nauseous or a little bit distracted or lost in following the action. It's really in your face. And Keanu has this down to an art form at this stage, which, I mean, it is got to think the guy is 50, you know, like, and he's running around like a 20-year-old. So I marvel at people like him and Tom Cruise that can still do this sort of stuff. So fair play to him for keeping it up. But yeah, it's a great film. Some nice little touches in it, nice little callbacks to the other one in terms of dialogue that's used, and a good rollicking entertainment. So I give it a 7 out of 10. Definitely recommend it if you like the John Wick film, or even if you just fancy a casual actioner. You know, like the other two obviously are much better, but this is a good installment. You know, Ian Shane's character gets bumped up a bit. So does the concierge. There's a side plot, and I won't ruin it. The side plot alone in terms of an administrator, or that comes down to try and basically take people to task who assisted them in the second film. And, you know, so you see more of a story for things that happen in relation to Lawrence Fishburne's character and Ian McShane's character. So, and I presume that's all going to tie up into the fourth one, where they're probably going to be united against the High Table. But there you go. That's my review of John Wick Parabellum. Worth seeing, definitely check it out. If you like this review, comment and subscribe. Let us know what you think about it yourself, whether you enjoyed it as much as you did too, whether you think it was up to speed, or whether you think it's starting to get a little bit fat at this stage. And so there you go. Thanks a lot. Like that.